Hello there and welcome. In this video I got you 10 tips and tricks for the Mystic culture that I want to share with you. It's various different topics from units to empire management to build affinities. I really hope that there's something in it for you that will bring you some food for thought. Let's get started with number 1. The very first thing is that your front line should go first when you have a battle mage centric build, or you should at least be aware of the fact that all of your frontliners that come from a cultural roster lower the enemy's resistance, which means non-physical damage gets boosted. Since this is mostly battle mage damage, this means in the Mystic culture your melee dudes want to go before the archers, or the battle mages that is, to maximize damage. Easy to overlook, but it has a really high impact on your total damage output. Number 2 goes more towards a specific build of the Mystics, which is the School of Attunement. This one features the Star Blades attunement feature, and basically means that if you have a build in mind which wants to buff your troops a lot, this is by far the most powerful way to go, because you add in another layer of buffing on everything you do. And the Attunement School also allows you to cast a lot of spells, but more about that later. But altogether, if you want to combine buffing magic with your troops, I think nothing beats Attunement on that end. Number 3 is a different breed of mystics that would be the Summoning School. These guys are allowed to invest Astral Echoes into evolving magic origin units, which means they are extremely powerful with anything which is elemental and has some evolution form. Everything which is a magic origin unit can be evolved this way, and this allows you a really early access to tier 3 troops that should be utilized. You should know in this scenario, though, that your upkeep costs will be very high, so stuff like Shadow Binding or other traits that lower magic origin troop cost are really powerful in that regard. Number 4 is something about the Scouts of the Mystics. Ethereal is a very interesting trait for itself, which is though mostly happening in combat. Floating, on the other hand, doesn't do anything for combat, but it makes your scouts really move efficient. This also means that the very fast scout enchantment is extremely potent on these guys. Turn it however you want. The Scouts of the Astral are faster than the average scout because they get to ignore most of the terrain issues, and therefore you should utilize that by spamming out a lot and consider enchanting them, or even pick up a cultural trait bringing you enchanted scouts right from the get-go, because for this culture it pays off way more than it looks on the first glance. Number 5, status inflictions. So overall, the whole Mystic culture revolves a lot around status inflictions. Spell shields can inflict stuns, your dudes try to shred down resistances, you have mages that can inflict statuses. Altogether, I have had a constant with all my Mystic builds that I realized that lowering the enemy's status resistance is really altogether very powerful for this faction, which means sources of disease, which is a -4 on the enemy's status resistance, or racial traits like the Stinky one, which reduces the enemy's status resistance, are very potent because they serve as very nice openers for the next thing which is to come. And if you want to go deeper into the crowd control way of things, there are tomes to utilize this very well with, right from the get-go, like Cryomancy, which offers you also a nice tier 2 battle mage to fall back to. So altogether, this is something that works incredibly well with this faction. Number 6, economy issues. So this is something which is always true for the Mystic. As good as they are in earning mana and knowledge, they really suffer from a shortage of production points, at least in the early game. This comes from the fact that their buildings have a slightly lower distribution towards their main income and you really just feel it. The Evocator's abode is like this, and the Stone Conjurer is like this as well. Yes, you have a lot of mana, but your cities just grow slower because of that. You can mitigate that, though, by picking the proper things, in terms like tomes. There is, for example, the Tome of Zeal, which allows you to bring Fanatical Workforce, or the Tome of Enchantment, which has similar applications with Awakened Tools. Whatever it is which brings extra production, it is very, very appealing for this culture. And if you don't want to go that hard into amplifications like these, consider picking your very first provinces on iron deposits. You know, you can always build something else on top of a province after a while, so it doesn't hurt to build a farm on an iron deposit. You can change it later if you need a mine or a quarry there. Doesn't matter. But whatever goes, production points are a rare good in the early game for any Mystic build, and the better you work against that, the quicker you will get on your feet. The mid and late game isn't hampered at all. It's the same as with all cultures. They just get on their feet a little bit slower than others. Number 7, Battlemagic Affinity. So this is another interesting little caveat about the Mystic in general. Due to the Soothers, which are troops you will bring in any army, they have innately access to cheaper spells, period. This is one thing that you will always have available, and this is something that I strongly suggest you to capitalize upon, because this is one of your strengths with your culture, and this means you are eligible to slam out more spells on the battlefield than others. It also means that you will need more mana than others, but this is what it is. You just have to pay the price. You can also go deeper into price reduction schemes with cultural traits and such, so you get to cast your spells even cheaper. But even if you don't lift a single finger in this economy meta game, your Soothers got your back, and that's a pretty nice nifty thing, which I think the more you know about it, the more profit you can take out of it. So number 8, this is more of a deficiency thing. The Mystic culture is in itself only shining in 2 areas, and that's battle mages and supporters, with a slight bias towards either battle mages or supporters, depending which faction you currently play. All other areas of your build are innately weakish. The good thing is that we get the spell shields, at least tier 2 shields, which have quite the meat on the bone. That's pretty good. Nothing bad to say about it. Them bringing an AoE stun with a pretty decent percentile chance ain't bad either. But at the end of the day, our frontline isn't the most robust. I would describe the problem as a jack of all trades and master of none situation, where you are only good at dealing range damage, but everything else is just a wee bit lackluster. This is something you can easily stabilize with some tomes, but if you don't, you really will feel the pain. Number 9, another little nice and nifty thing, you have a very strong early military. This is because the interaction between the Arcane Guard's Sundered Resistance and the Arcanist's Damage profile is innately insane, because one part of your tier 1 roster powers up the other part of your tier 1 roster. Not every culture gets that kind of candy. This means you are very, very good with early game rush strategies. Zeal and Horde, for example, work a charm. Pair it up with Attunement, or the other third one, whose name I always keep forgetting with the overcharged spells. Anyways, the bottom line is your early game military is quite impressive, and the fact that you get Soothers and Spell Shields on top of it on tier 2 makes matters even more oppressive for your enemy. Because before the enemy has steady supply of tier 3 troops, Soothers and Spell Shields are incredibly good at protecting the Arcanists, which deal a lot of damage after the Arcane Guards and Spell Shields have sundered their resistances. There is an innate powerful synergy in terms of damage dealing there, which doesn't need much extra outside glue, but it falls off as soon as tier 3, tier 4 units come into play, so that's why you need to prepare for that. But your early game, it's actually quite insane. And number 10, a couple of nice nifty things to know about Astral Echoes. So this goes over the several schools, things that I've just picked up while playing various builds. So here goes. When you're playing Attunement, a nice thing that is worth knowing is that you can use not only your Astral Echoes to cast spells when you're out of battle spells on the battlefield, you also get to use these to speed up things on this book. This is insanely powerful, especially since it means that you can fling out map spells with a frightening frequency when you just have enough Astral Echoes at hand. One way or another, Attunement is insanely good at flinging down chain spells like no other. The Summoning School, on the other hand, like I already said, their caveat, or their not caveat, their specialty is to level up units with Astral Echoes, which means they can field dirt cheap troops and turn them with the flick of a finger into fully fledged tier 3 units. This is something you can also utilize for yourself. Keep a banner of low tier, low level troops in your disposal. Have a pile of Astral Echoes, and when a risk comes into town, you can make them costly and go into the face of the enemy. This is a really nice strategical resource, and you don't have a limit in storing Astral Echoes, so don't feel pressured using them. And lastly, the third usage that is in the third school, the one whose name I've forgotten, damn. But they get to cast spells, or they get to utilize echoes to get economy boosts out of their spells if they have cast them often enough. So here again we have that synergy where we want to spam spells, but this time to buff up our empire. I personally find the third school of mystics so good that I don't know their name. I personally don't think that they're that bad, but I don't like them that much, so I don't have to add that much into them. I hope you forgive me about that. So this brings me to the end of the video. There's way more to say about the Astral faction. As you see there in the last point, I have clearly to admit that I am even lacking on some departments, but feel free to fill in the blanks, and feel free to leave a like, leave a subscribe, and consider checking out the description box. Feel free to support the channel via channel membership, donations, or whatever you find downstairs which tickles your fancy. Many thanks to all of you who support the channel, and many thanks for watching this video until the very end. Deeply appreciate taking your time with me, and I hope you'll have a great day. See you soon.